What was your pick, mate? Who did you want as the next Leicester manager? Because I know there were quite a few names talked about.
There was 3 suggestions that came in. 4 suggestions, sorry, because Tom sent his in by video. And I had to go up and Manny's going to hate this, but I had to go up and defend the choice of Sean Dyche. So I was extolling the virtues of Sean Dyche. We had because what Sean Dyche will do is it'll be boring, but at least we won't be losing week in, week out by 2 or 3-0. He will stabilise the ship. He will get it back on course. Unfortunately, I don't think we will come straight back up because we're that bad at the moment. And I think the EFL are going to just make it worse with management plans and transfer embargoes. And, but he could, I say Sean Dyche, steady that ship, get us promoted, not maybe straight away, but the season after, and maybe keep us up. So as a 3-year plan, that could work. The problem is, going further than that, he's not the man. You then need somebody to take us to the next level. The thing with Rosenior is, he could do all that Sean Dyche did and probably take us to the next level as well.
So, Manny, from your facial expressions during that and before the stream, I'll ask you first, Manny, about Sean Dyche, mate. I am dead against this as well.
Is Dave Bassett around? Can we get him back? Maybe we can get Tony Pulis, Big Sam. Same old boring, rubbish 80s, 90s football. Where did it get to Everton? They were just hovering over the edge for a number of seasons. As soon as they got somebody more competent, they start pushing and they start flying. Do we want to be sitting in an endless battle between 15th and 20th every year playing dross football? How long before the fans will stop moaning? The fans were moaning when we were playing chess football. What are they going to start doing then? It's not as if Dyche is proven. Did he not take Burnley down eventually? So there is a limit to that style of football. It's archaic football. We're supposed to be building an era. You don't build an era with Dyche. You build a temporary period. Now, someone might say, if Dyche comes in and picks Dyche players, how do you think we're going to transform that Dyche team into a balling team? We're going to have the same profiles again. We're going to end up with, Cody 2.0, Tarkovsky 2.0. The same old boring rubbish football. Have some vision. Pick some futuristic manager who's playing next gen football, who understands the value of transitional play. That we can win the championship playing any style of football we want. We don't need to go to Dyche to get promoted, and we don't necessarily need Dyche to stay up either. As for Southgate,
what you're having, please, because we can't win. If we're going to get points deductions and management plans, we ain't going to come straight back up. And who's going to want to come to us?
You mean like the assistant manager of Man City who just won a treble? We got relegated and came to
and
us.
We weren't facing points deductions or management. And look, look what happened. He stayed with us for a year and then he fucked off.
Look what happened. We won 27 of our first 30 games is what happened.
Yeah, and we got promoted by 1 point.
And how many championship seasons have we been top wire to wire pretty much? I think 1 week of 46 we went top. And big fans still want to win.
We came up.
Really lucky to get 96 points. 96 points lucky, please.
And then we got up by 1 point, or were you watching a different season?
No, we won the league. We won the league by a point. We got up by 7 points, correct, Anil?
Well, no, I said we won it by 1 point.
No, you said we went up by 1 point.
Oh, yeah, and then I've just corrected and said we won it by 1 point when we were 17-odd, 20-odd points ahead.
Let's go backwards and backwards and backwards.
Let's go to a nil. Let's go to a nil. So a nil. Sean Dyche, mate, what are your thoughts?
I think there's quite a lot of disrespect put on his name, to be honest with you. I think he's a solid manager. I think the problem is you got to look at where we are as a club right now, which is we've shafted ourselves, basically. Sean Dyche has got promoted from the champion. Look, he's not my choice. I'm going to say that, Manny, but I think to rule him out is not...
I heard you say the same things in January about experienced players. In this situation, we need this. It's old school football. It's old school thinking. This old school. Let's get experience. Let's get someone who can make them tough and strong. How many tough, strong teams are staying up in the Premier League?
Well, you could say that David Moyes going back to Everton was that, and. It's not binary, right? It's not 1 or 0. It's not black or white, right? There's a grey area, right? So if you try to take emotion out of the picture and you look at what are the positives from Sean Dyche, He's got promoted out of the Championship multiple times. He's kept teams in the Premier League multiple times. He got a team qualified for Europe, one time beating us with a far inferior squad, I would say. I agree. I think his style of football is not great, to put it kindly. I think he's sometimes in the chat, Daniel, the Everton fan, says that all the Everton fans are really thankful that they did make the change and brought back Moisey, because with the same squad of players, Moyes improved them a lot. But Sean Dyche has been firefighting. I mean, look, for example, he's quite rightly said, he goes, I wish I had the money that Vincent Kompany was given at Burnley. I would have built them a good attacking team. I was always feeding on scraps and having to sign players like Dwight McNeil, etc., etc. So I think to just completely rule him out is quite immature, to be honest with you.
No, I don't think
you can pull the face like someone's pooped on your trousers, right? But you have to take the emotion out of it.
We've just spent 6-9 months speaking about styles of play, about culture, about identity. You get Dyche in, what happens the moment you get tired of Dyche?
Well, man, you clearly did not see the way that Sean Dyche, but I remember Everton coming to the King Power early in the season. In the first 15 minutes, they pressed the shit out of us. They won the ball off us. They scored a goal early doors. And if anything, a mistake he made is he actually didn't keep attacking, which he could have done, which is what frustrated them. So
he got a draw against Steve Cooper, and that's one of the reasons you would count to give him
No, man, you don't put words in my mouth, right? I think you've been quite immature about this to just completely rule someone out based on something like that. And frankly, if that's your way of appointing people, that's not a very good way of doing it, right? You've got to take emotion out of it, make a chart and see what points there are. I think are other managers that will score higher than Sean Dyche, but let's say that other managers aren't available, right? And you're having to make an appointment. There are many worse managers you could appoint. For example, I would say Gareth Southgate's a worse appointment than Sean Dyche, in my opinion, right? If I looked at the league football. So that's what I'm trying to say, right? I'll let you do it, but if you're just going to be like a child, I think it's quite petulant.
It's not a try. You're saying, I don't pick my managers based on there are other worse options out there. I'm trying to pick the best option for
let's get Pep in then. He'll come, won't he?
Is he an option? Is Pep a realistic option for now? He's being childish. Is that a realistic option?
But Manny,
I'm saying the best option for us. Someone who will come, someone who can build an era, something that was sustainable. So if and when that manager does move on, the next person can replace him. It's interchangeable. Who's interchangeable with Dyche? When Dyche gets
into Europe,
what? And he also took them down. Brendan Rodgers took us to fourth. Brendan Rodgers took us to fourth, and all of you guys wanted him sacked, right?
By the way, he didn't get relegated. They sacked him before they got relegated.
So did Brendan. Brendan get relegated then, but you always wanted Brendan out.
I'm just saying, technically, you're putting a relegation against his name, and he would have said he would have kept them up.
You can't use European argument because it doesn't. You don't like to apply that to Brendan. You can't use a style of football argument because we've been talking about style of football the whole season. This style of football is not a way to move forward in the long term. Sure, it might be good enough to keep us up. Maybe a push. It might keep us up.
Sean Dyche's point is that every team that he's been at so far, he's been so hamstrung by the budget that he's had to play a style of football that worked with the team that he was given.
Big Sam says exactly the same thing.
Has not done, right? Well, yeah, so that's fair. That would be constructive criticism to say that Sean Dyche hasn't shown that he can play a progressive style of football. That I think is fair to say, right? But then his counterpoint would be, I've never been given technical players, so how can I build a team with that when the best thing you're giving me are players like,
because he's talking bollocks. Because you have a choice on how to approach staying up in the Premier League. Bournemouth didn't have any money. They've stayed up for multiple seasons. There's been so many clubs that have come up and you have a different way of doing it. Sheffield United under Wilder have chosen to play a Dyche way. They go down. Plenty of clubs have stayed up. Fulham have stayed up. Brentford have stayed up. Brighton have stayed up. All of them playing football. This idea that you need to start smacking it long and you need long balls to try and keep you in the league.
Sean Dyche changed his tactics to 4-2-3-1 and changed. Man, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Sean Dyche.
That's why Everton fans were loving the style of football and they wanted to keep it, right?
I
don't know what I'm talking about. They
hated him. They respect the fact that he kept them up in difficult circumstances.
Frank Lampard kept them up in difficult circumstances. Should we have Frank Lampard in then? There's a better case for that. There's a better case for that.
Southampton not playing football.
Mate, the fact is, no manager's ever taken Everton down. Nobody.
Go on, Chris.
Yeah. Southampton are playing football. They're not playing the Sean Dyche way. How's that worked out for Southampton this season?
How did it work out for Bournemouth? How did it work out for Brighton? You can name one example. I can give you 5 examples. Exactly. It's about the quality of players. Southampton signed rubbish. It doesn't matter what style of football they were going to play. They were going to go down. Now, I actually don't want to just... I want to build an era. I don't want to have another manager and then 2-3 years' time, wherever we are, it happens again. We get bored of Dyche. You know, may as well get Martin O'Neill back if you want to.